Hey there, it's Renee Hobbs, and today I'm going to be offering some feedback to you on your Leap 2 project, the Research Apprenticeship project. I'm making some general comments about what I noticed about each part of your project, starting with the Lit Review. Almost all COM 381 students selected high quality sources that were appropriate to the topic. This was great. One of the highlights of the experience for me was seeing how you were able to use scholarly literature to situate your project. One student even found a new research study that I had not read, which is amazing because I am a leading expert on this topic, so thank you. Now, only a few students described the research methodologies that were used in the studies they reviewed. And this was disappointing to me because you're learning about research methods, but most of you did not really apply those concepts by explaining to me what research methods were used in the studies that you reviewed. And only a few students applied concepts they learned from the course reading. And to truly evaluate the quality of the knowledge claims of the researchers that you read, we need to know more details about how they did their work. That's the mark of a researcher, is to recognize that knowledge is constructed by people and they use a process, and being able to identify how they accomplished their goals. That's absolutely important to include in a literature review. Let's talk a little bit about your research methods section. Most, but not all students recognize that this project involved analyzing the data produced from the survey that you took at the beginning of the semester. This data was about you and the students enrolled in COM 250. Many students were able to identify the specific variables in the survey that aligned with their research question, and this was an important part of the process. And some students used strategy or creativity in choosing which variables could help them answer their research question. I was delighted to see this, but sadly, only a few students were able to identify the weaknesses in the survey, and there were quite a few, including question wording and response choices. So let's talk a little bit about how you handled the findings of your project. Some students were able to use Julius AI to create means and standard deviations for variables. And some students were able to create transformed variables where they summed up variables to create a new variable that would be called an index. And that was thrilling to see. Some students were able to produce correlational findings to explore the association between variables. Not many students, only a few students, were able to produce informative data tables and charts. Many figures lacked labels that explained them clearly. And only a few students showed their work in how they used Julius AI to produce output. Too many students did not make any reference to their use of Julius AI, and clearly the use of Gen AI needs to be acknowledged by researchers, explaining when and how it is used. Transparency in the research process is a core value of research. So let's talk about the implications section of your paper. Most students recognize that there is a meaningful conceptual relationship between media literacy and AI literacy. Most all the students explained why knowledge and skills of media and AI literacy are important today. You all were able to write eloquently about that. And a few students were able to generate new research questions that are important for researchers to consider in the future and then build upon the knowledge gained from this study. Okay, so finally, I want to talk a little bit about adventures in collaboration and formatting. Some students had good experiences with collaboration, while others were disappointed with their partner. Some students used shared Google Docs to collaborate, but some did not describe how they collaborated or even reflect much on like what worked or what didn't work about collaboration. And collaborative projects are preparing you for the workplace where you do not get to pick your partner, you do not often know your partner, and you have to produce something together. So this is really good practice for life after college. And let's talk about formatting. We're really learning a lot about academic research papers, and in the textbook, we're being taught how to read and analyze academic research papers. And most, but not all students included all the required elements of an academic paper. Most students included citations in APA 7th edition format, yay, but hardly any students used the author date in text citations in the literature review or in the implications section where you're connecting your study, your interests to the work of other scholars. An author date in text citation uses the author's last name and the year of publication, and that directs the reader to go back to the reference list at the end of the document to find the complete source details. So that's something that needs to be improved in the next round. So this research process was a struggle. You know that LEAP 2 was a challenging assignment that required a lot of attention to a number of different moving parts of the process. But let me say this, research is a struggle, and we confront the limits of our knowledge when we do research. We do research because we don't have the answers to our questions, and we don't always even know what to do. So pressing forward to learn more turned out to be very successful for many of you, and you used a lot of cool strategies to do that. You looked at YouTube videos, you read the research specifications carefully. In this case, the overall learning experience is the destination. The quality of the work you produced is not nearly as important as the learning experience you had. So, hey, congratulations on surviving LEAP 2, and let's press on to LEAP 3.